What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day today and I hope it gets even better from watching this video. Today we're chatting all about how to transform your finances. What I'm about to share with you today was honestly one of the best things I've ever done for myself. It has honestly changed my life. I know you can kind of throw that phrase around, but it genuinely has changed so many things for me for the better. And I'm especially grateful that I did this really early. I did it in my early 20s. I'm 26 now. I just feel like it sets you off for such an amazing path just to learn about finances, create good financial habits, and just become financially literate. Like, you're already so ahead of the curve, especially if you're so young. Like, the more time you have, the more you get to do. So it really is like an incredible thing you get to do for yourself. But even if you're older, it's literally never too late. So anyone's welcome here, but today we're going to be covering the basics. We're going to create an amazing financial foundation for you, and just like anything, like a house, if it has a crappy foundation, anything can just crumble. So this is a really important step that I would definitely not miss. So today we're going to be covering budgeting and saving and building your emergency fund. Those are, in my opinion, the first steps for anyone, regardless of your financial situation, that are really going to set you up for success, and then you can really build on that, as I've already said. Take it from someone who literally started from scratch. Like, I was not saving anything. I was kind of living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I would spend whatever I would make. I was so stressed about money. Like, just thinking about money gave me like a rash of anxiety, and I just did not understand money and how finances work at all. Like, if you talk to me about investing, it felt like a fantasy world. So trust and believe you can really make a difference, and this is what I started with, and it then just snowballed. And if I could do it, you can do it also. Also, a disclaimer, I'm obviously not a financial advisor. These are just the steps that I did and that really helped me. So we're going to go through all of my tips and tricks, and then at the end I'm going to share with you a budget that I started with that's on Notion, and I made that into a template so you can use it for free if you want to. So that will be at the end. But if you're new here, hi, I'm Nika, welcome. I make videos all about self-improvement, and I like to make them very actionable. Here are the tips, the tricks, the exact steps you can take so you can really make a legit difference. So if that works for you, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. And you can also check out my social media if you want to see more of my personal life. Alrighty, enough yapping, let's get into it. So as I've already said, we're going to be covering budgeting, saving, and your emergency fund. Your emergency fund is going to be your first money goal, and this is going to be so important to build that foundation, to build those really, really good money habits that you can then build on. And of course, the way you're going to reach this goal is by budgeting. So the second part of this video, which is going to be all about budgeting, is obviously very important, so don't skip that. But let's first cover your emergency fund. So what is an emergency fund? It's probably exactly what you think it is. It's basically money that you're going to put aside for emergencies. So that could either be your car breaks down and all of a sudden you have this huge bill, or you get a hefty vet bill, or God forbid you lose your job, or you can't work for X amount of months. Like, that is the money you set aside for emergencies only. So this shouldn't be like, oh, I have an emergency, I need a whole new closet. That is not an emergency, girly pop. No, okay? Real emergencies. Let's just all keep that in mind. So how much money should you put aside for your emergency fund? This is gonna vary person to person depending on your financial situation and your lifestyle, but the rule of thumb is to save 3 to 6 months worth of your basic expenses. So for example, if you lose your job, you get to still live your life fairly normally and cover all of your basic expenses for 3 to 6 months, whatever you decide. So how many months you save, as I've said, depends on a few things. One thing it depends on is your job and your income security. For me, for example, my income varies a lot. If you're a freelancer, you probably know what that's like. Like, you might not get paid 1 month, or you might get paid a lot more. Like, it can fluctuate quite a bit. So that's why I decided to save for 6 months, just because that gave me more security. It's also going to depend on your lifestyle. So if you have kids, a family, then maybe you're going to want to save a bit more. The last kind of crucial thing that it depends on, in my opinion, that you should definitely consider is your stress around money. If you're someone who is kind of anxious about money all the time, or you're anxious about your spending habits, or if you're gonna get enough money in your account, then maybe you're gonna wanna save a bit more. That was a huge component for me for wanting to save 6 months instead of 3. Like, I was so anxious about it, and just thinking about having 6 months worth of expenses in my savings account gave me so much security, and it really, really lessened that stress and anxiety that I had around money. And that was a game changer for my future, basically. It changed my mindset around money because I wasn't stressing about it so much, and I then got to make more and save more, and it really snowballed into amazing like money habits and financial future. So I would definitely make sure to consider that as well. Next up, where should this money go? So I highly recommend opening a high yield savings account. The main reason is that you can put that money aside as soon as you get paid, and then it's kind of like not there for you to think about and spend. That honestly really helped me with my saving and how quickly I saved. I saved 15,000 euros in 12 months. And if I just had that money in my bank account, I would have definitely spent a lot more than I did and therefore saved less. A high yield savings account, it's basically a savings account that earns you more interest. So with you having that money in the account, you're going to be making more of it just from it sitting in that account, if that makes sense. I would definitely do some research before you just open any standard savings account. Ask around. Obviously it depends on your country, so I can't really recommend any, but just do a little bit of research. Don't spend too much time on this because you want to get started and actually start saving and budgeting as soon as possible. So you now hopefully know how many months you want to save for, you know where this money is going to be. So what is left for you to figure out is the amount that you're going to save for and the time frame for this goal. So how quickly you're going to save up for your emergency fund, so we can make a very strong plan so you can actually stick to it and get this done. But we're going to put a pin in that for now because we need to figure out how much money you're making, where your money is going, and how much you can realistically save. And we're going to do all of that through creating your budget. So we're going to come back to the emergency fund. I promise you're going to have very clear goals and have it all figured out by the end of this video. But let's get started with your budget. A budget is basically your plan for where your money goes. So it's basically your plan of action of how much you are willing to spend in different categories of your life, like groceries or personal spending, like getting your hair done, getting your nails done, travel, transportation, etc. And then how much money you're willing to put aside towards your money goals. So this would be saving for, first of all, your emergency fund. And then when you're done with that, you might want to plan to save for a mortgage, investing, paying off debt, etc. So it's nothing more than a plan of where you're going to put this hard-earned money. And of course, that's going to depend on your current financial situation. It's going to depend on your lifestyle, your values, like what is actually important enough for you to spend your money on. It should reflect all of that. This is why a budget is very personal and you shouldn't just stick to someone else's budget. So we're going to make one that's tailored to you. Before I started budgeting, I was so scared to look at where my money was going. I didn't look at it. I didn't know my spending habits. I didn't know anything. It was just something I pushed to the side and I was like, I'd rather know. Ignorance is not bliss in this case, okay? It is not. It just added to my stress. And as soon as I was brave enough to look at where my money was going, to look at my spending habits, yeah, it wasn't fun. Like I wasn't doing great. But then I could make a plan of action that would get me to where I wanted to be. And that made me feel empowered. It made me feel like excited for the future. And also awareness of a problem is a problem half solved, truly. Like you're not going to be able to solve your problem if you don't even know what it is in the first place. So that leads us nicely to your audit. This is basically going to be like the Marie Kondo method. If you want to minimize your space and your belongings, you're going to put everything out in front of you and you're going to see what sparks joy. And that is what we're going to do with your expenses, okay? And I know this is not a fun, enjoyable part for most of us. Like I did not enjoy looking at this, okay? It was not fun. It took some time, but it is worth it. And it's not a step that you get to miss, okay? This is crucial. The first step, like Marie Kondo, you want to have everything in front of you to see what you're working with. So you want to have all of your expenses information in front of you. So that means you're going to log into your bank accounts and you're going to download all of your bank statements from the last 1 to 3 months. So obviously all of your different bank accounts, credit cards, debit cards, we need all of that. You can only do 1 month, but the more data you have, like if you choose 3 months, then you have a much more accurate picture of where your money goes every single month, which is the point of this. The second step is we're going to create categories of where your money goes. This obviously depends on your lifestyle. If you use the budget that I created, there's already some set categories you can work with, but word of advice is to keep it simple and minimal. We're going to have 3 sections for these categories: the red zone, the yellow zone, and the green zone. The red zone is your crucial and fixed expenses. So these are the things you absolutely need to spend your money on. So this might be housing, like rent, insurances, phone plans, etc. So these are again things that are crucial for you, like you have to spend money on them every single month. and they do not change. Of course, you can call your phone provider and get a better plan or size down on your apartment, but for the most part, these expenses are not going to be changing. Then we have the yellow zone, which are the crucial expenses, but are not fixed. So this would be things like transportation or your grocery bills. Like you need to get around, you need to get to your job, you need to eat. So you're going to be spending money on these, but they're going to vary month to month. This is the category where you can definitely minimize your spending a little bit, but again, not so much, because a girl's gotta eat, a girl's gotta get around, okay? And lastly, we have the green zone. This is what I like to call play money, okay? These are the things that are not crucial and are not fixed. So this would be things like eating and drinking out, self-care, like your beauty expenses or your therapy sessions or Pilates classes. Travel is also in this category, and then also personal spending like beauty products, clothes, books, journals, etc. Again, this is play money, and none of these expenses are crucial for your survival. So when you're deciding to limit your spending, this is the category that you're going to focus on the most. You'll be able to see exactly how this is going to work when I show you the budget, but just to give you a very clear example. So one category, as we've said, is groceries. And then let's say you looked at the last 3 months, which in this case would be April, May, and June. So you'll write April, I spend, I don't know, 200 euros on groceries. May, I spend 250. And then June, I spent 230, and you're going to do that for every single category. How much you decide to limit yourself obviously depends on your income and expenses ratio, which we're about to look at, and also your values. Like you might find getting your hair done really, really important, and it makes you feel really good and confident, and that is worth it to you. For me, for example, might not be the case, and I might want to spend a bit more on maybe dining out and leave my hair alone. You know, it depends on you, and the point of a budget is not to cut yourself off from all the joys of life and all the things that make you happy. We're just creating a plan that works for you. Alrighty, in order to figure out our income expenses ratio and how much money we actually have to play with and to work with, we need to look at our income. So this is obviously going to be very simple. If you have one stream of income, your full-time job doesn't really change. Easy peasy, okay? You've got that number. This, by the way, should be your net income. So all of your income after taxes and all of that. So the amount of money you actually have to work with, to spend. If you have a few different income streams that fluctuate, or if you're a freelancer and your income is kind of all over the place, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your income from the last 12 months. So you're going to write January, I made 3,000 euros. February, X amount, etc. So you're going to have a full view of the last year. And then you've got two options. You can either calculate the average, so you use your average income and set your budget and saving goals around that, or you can take the month where you made the least amount of money. So let's say my lowest income month was March and I made 1,500 euros. I'm going to take that amount and create my budget and how much I save around that. That is just so you're on the safe side, so you're not overspending. You're not spending more than you're making. So this is, again, totally up to you. I like to take the minimum amount just because, again, with my stress around money, my history with that, I'm like, I just want to be safe and sound. So in order to save a substantial amount that you're happy with, you're probably going to cut down your spending in that green zone. If your income expenses ratio is a little skewed, like you spend more than you make, then you're going to limit yourself in the green zone. And if you're still spending more than you're making, or if you don't have enough room to save anything, and if that's really important to you, then you're probably going to want to cut down in that yellow zone if you can. And then with the red zone, as we've already said, you can call your phone provider or anything like that to try to negotiate a better price, or you can size down on your apartment. How ruthless you are with your budget, how much you limit yourself, is going to depend on your situation. It's going to depend on how much you make, and then also your money goals, obviously. Like if you have a lower income and you have a lot of debt, for example, or you have a mortgage or something like that, then you might want to cut yourself more. So your budget is, again, very personal. It depends on you and your situation and your money goals. And of course, the more you make, the more you get to save. You can only save as much as you earn, but you can usually, for the most part, find a way to earn more. So that would definitely be something I would look at if I was in a situation where I'm spending way more than I'm making. And of course, you can only limit yourself so much. You still need to live your life and take care of those basic expenses. So that means either asking for a raise, switching your job, looking into side hustles. There are options out there, but I don't want to be insensitive to anyone. Obviously we have different situations, but of course, the more you make, the more you get to save. Alrighty, with all of that being said, we can finally create your budget. There are 3 different ways you can do this. I'll go through each one and you can decide which one works best for you. I'll also share with you which one I used. So the first one is a very clear, simple, straightforward one that's amazing if you're just starting out and you have no idea like where to put what amount of money. It's the 50-30-20 rule. So 50% of your income goes towards your needs. So that would be that red and yellow zone. And then 30% goes towards your wants, the green zone. And then 20% goes towards your savings. So in this case, we're starting with an emergency fund. So 20% would go to your emergency fund. And then when you're done with that, those 20% can go towards paying off debt, investing, etc. And again, we're working with your net income here. So the income you have left over after all of your taxes and all of that. The second option is a little bit more personal, more tailored to you. So you would just go category by category. So again, looking at that groceries category, you see the last 3 months, and then you set a realistic goal. And you do that with every single category. And then you can see how much money you have left. And then that would go towards your savings. And then the last way you can create your budget is to look at your savings first. So to set a saving goal for yourself, let's say you want to save 6,000 euros for your emergency fund, and then you calculate how much you would have to save every single month to get to that point. In this case, it would be 500 euros. And then the rest of the money you have left over is what you create your budget around. This is the one that I chose. I think it's the least straightforward. Like it's the hardest to set up because it's kind of sometimes hard to tell how much you can realistically save. But I was very adamant about saving 15,000 euros in 1 year. Like I was very determined to reach that goal. So I knew that I would limit myself as much as I had to in order to reach that goal. So I think it also depends a little bit on your personality type and how serious you are about this, and also your income, of course. Like if you don't have that much money to play with, that's going to be way harder to do. Something to consider, but pick one that is best for you. Let's circle back to that emergency fund. So we still need to figure out how much exactly you want to save. What is your emergency fund goal? And then also how quickly you want to do it. Like what is the time frame to achieve that goal? Because that is necessary when you are setting goals. Like you need to have a time frame of when you want to complete it. So let's say you chose to save 3 months worth of your basic expenses. And through doing that money audit, you figured out that your basic expenses are 1,500 euros. So that makes your budget goal 4,500 euros. So that is the amount you want to save. And then the time frame is obviously totally going to depend on you, how quickly you think you can save this money, how much money you have to play with in the first place. So you're going to have to sit down and figure that out for yourself. Obviously, the most straightforward is if you use the 50-30-20 rule, you know that 20% of your income goes towards the emergency fund. You can calculate how much that is, and then figure out how long it will take you to reach your emergency fund goal. Whatever you decide, this goal should obviously be achievable, something you can actually do, but that's also a little bit of a challenge. So now you should have a very clear savings goal and a very clear plan of where your money is gonna go. So you set those limits, you set a budget, and now all you have to do is stick to it. For me, this saving goal was very, very important because that was the whole reason why I was budgeting and sticking to it. But one thing that really, really helped me to stay even more motivated and continuously excited to keep going was a flow chart. And that sounds so stupid, but it honestly made such a huge difference for me. I drew a flow chart in my journal, and then I would color in every time I put that money into a savings account. And I don't know why this worked so well for me, okay? It might not work for you, but honestly, it kept me going so much. I was so excited. I would look at it all the time and be like, oh my God, I only have this amount left. And it made such a big difference. So I highly recommend trying that out. It was amazing for me. But obviously through all of this, you're gonna build such amazing financial habits that are gonna last forever. When you're a bit more financially secure or free, you're still probably gonna at some point wanna buy a house or save some money for your future children or whatever you're doing. Those habits are gonna help you get there. And it's so important and so amazing that you're doing that now. You're really setting yourself up for success and for an amazing future, obviously. With creating an emergency fund, as I've said, it really gave me so much security. So I kind of left that financial stress out the door, and that helped me to create a really positive, abundant financial mindset. And I started to feel completely differently about money. It was something that I've realized I'm very interested in. I started researching it. My whole view around money completely changed to something that was actually exciting and interesting, instead of it being something that was so stressful, something I didn't even want to look at because no, thank you. I don't want to know. And I really feel because of that, I started making so much more money, because I was positively focused on it. I was obviously researching ways to make more of it. It changed everything for me, honestly, when it comes to money. But it also made me so much more confident. I still don't exactly know why. Maybe it's just reaching a goal obviously makes you feel good. It makes you feel confident. And it took me a year, which is a fairly long time, and I really stuck to it. So that gave me so much confidence in myself that I can do this. It gave me confidence that I can talk about money because I actually knew what I was talking about now. I kind of understood at least the basics, and you just start to build that momentum. So all in all of this, I know it takes some time and effort to get into it and to stick to it, but it is so worth it. You're literally doing this for yourself or your future self, and there's no investment better than that. And no one can ever take that away from you. The last thing we want to do is go through the budget that I made so you know exactly how to use it. It's obviously free. It's going to be linked down below. There are so many different budgets. This one is very, very basic. This is the one I started with. It's literally nothing fancy, but it worked for me, so I might as well share it. But there are so many that you can find on YouTube, on Pinterest. Some are free, some are not. So if this one doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. Just find one that does, okay? Or you can even build your own. You can do it in your journal. You can do it on Excel, Notion, whatever works for you. So when you click on the link to the template, it will open up to this. You obviously need a Notion account, which is free. And then you would go right here, click on that, duplicate it, and then you can use that template. Once you have the template on your Notion account, you can change the name of it here. So you can do My Budget 2024, whatever you want. You can change the icon here. You can also add a cover like a banner on top if you want to. And then the first step is to write your money goals. So that would be your emergency fund goal. Let's say that's 6,000 euros. And you can delete the other two because we just want to be focused on that at the moment. You can write your paycheck routine here if you want to. Starting balance. So this is the money you currently have, okay? Anywhere and everywhere. So let's say that's 3,000 euros. This is more for motivation purposes. So you can look at it a year from now and see how well you've done, for example. And then you've got different tables. You've got your income table, savings, expenses, and then your yearly balance. All of these tables that I'm going to show you are set for euros. You can change this by clicking on the amount, going to edit property, and then number format, and you can change that here. You'll have to change this for every single table. It's a little tedious and annoying, but once you do that, you won't have to do it again. So your income table looks like this. It has a filter. So when you click on this, you can choose a month. So obviously, if you don't have a month chosen, it's going to show you your income for the whole year, and you can see the sum of that below. But let's change that to the current month, July. So I can see I've made 3,000 euros. You can obviously add income streams. You just click on this, write the income stream, add the month and the amount. Your savings table is very similar, so the filters work exactly the same way. And then again, you add it the same way. So you write the amount, let's say 200 euros, and then you choose what you're saving for. So at the moment, that's an emergency fund. Then you have different options. You can also add one here by just writing it and clicking enter. Again, very simple. And then we've got your expenses table. So this is going to be something that you're going to use when you're doing the audit. So you're going to write the expenses in different categories for the last 1 to 3 months. So in this case, that's April, May, June. And then of course you set a limit for each category. I just did it for groceries so you can see how it works. And then you obviously update your spending for the current month. I like to update my budget once a week. And then I write the last time I updated it right here, just so I don't calculate the same things again on accident. It's definitely happened to me before, so I recommend doing that. And then right here, we have your yearly balance. So your kind of 2024 budget. So you can see everything very clearly. There are definitely budgets out there that already calculate this for you. There are no formulas for this budget. It's very, very simple. So again, might not work for you. But I kind of like the fact that my budget was really, really easy to use, easy to set up to begin with. And then I kind of updated it and made it a bit fancier later on. So let's say it's the end of July. I go up here. I can see I've made 3,000 euros. So that's my income. I saved 500. So I'll just write that in. So July, 3,000 euro income. Savings are 500. I'll be able to see the sum of my expenses right here. So I just write that amount here. Let's say that's 2,500 euros. And then you can also calculate the percentage of your income saved. So in this case, that would be around 16%. And then it will calculate the average for the whole year, which is just really helpful to see with how well you're doing. So that is the whole budget. Again, very simple. Have a link down below. It's free. You can use it. You cannot use it. Do whatever you like. Alrighty guys, that is it for this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Please let me know what other money related videos you want to see. literally anything, okay? You just let me know and I'll get that done for you, okay? I love talking about money. I really want to make this into a series, so I am happy to make anything you want to see, so just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you very, very soon.